Welcome to the Matt Bernier Show.
We're going to be lean and mean. We won't have all the sort of bells and whistles we normally do, simply because all the producers, we've got all sorts of things going on over the next 2 days. You're going to want to stay tuned after we're done here. This show will end at about 12:30. We'll take about a half-hour break. We'll come back at 1 o'clock and kick off all the stakes action. Myself, Dan Elman, Mike Beer will bring you right through the Kentucky Oaks here today, and the same will go on tomorrow for the Kentucky Derby. Starting about 1 o'clock, we'll bring you right through the 142nd run for the Roses. But let's talk about the sort of storylines and the unknowns going into it. We're finally here. We've talked about it for weeks and weeks on end about how the field's going to shape up, whatever it's going to look like. Well, here it is. Let's take a look, if we could, at the Kentucky Derby starting field of the 20. We have 2 on the also eligible list. Doesn't look like they're going to draw into the field. But of the 20 horses, you have so many different storylines. And I think you have to kind of start, first and foremost, talking about Nyquist. You got to talk about the morning line favorite. This is a horse that at this stage of the game has not done anything wrong. He goes out there, he's 7 for 7. The big question I have is ultimately, does he want to go this far? 1.25 miles, I think he's going to run his race tomorrow. I think he'll fire his shot. I just don't know if ultimately 10 furlongs is what he wants to do. You look at his pedigree, you've got the Uncle Mo on top, you've got a little bit more sprinty, and I understand if you want to go through deep into the pedigree, you can find a little bit of stamina influence. But look, Nyquist, I think the draw worked out very well for him. He's going to have every opportunity to get the job done tomorrow afternoon. Whether or not he's good enough, we'll find out. I don't think he has a decided advantage from a speed figure standpoint or anything like that. And again, my questions about him overall wanting to go 10 furlongs, it's going to draw me in a different direction. I think he runs his race. I picked him second as far as the picks in the newspaper are concerned. But again, my big question with Nyquist, I don't question his quality. I just question, does he want to go this far? And ultimately, he's going to be better off being a sort of middle distance runner between 1 mile and 1 1/8 miles. Can Exaggerator prove that that most recent start in Santa Anita Derby wasn't some sort of a slop pace-aided victory? This is a horse that has just bit by bit gotten a little bit better throughout really all his entire career, going back to his 2-year-old form last year. He had that sort of debut effort at Del Mar, big trouble, all sorts of issues. He comes back, breaks his maiden second out, and then Keith DeSormo sends him up to Saratoga to take advantage of a less than stellar group of 2-year-olds that the Spa had last year. Can Exaggerator prove that that 103 buyer that he earned in the most recent start, can he prove that that was more of actually what he is and not just a major sort of pace and slop-aided victory that he earned there, considering the other runners that he was going against, more spirit, maybe he was a little bit too close to the pace. Dancing Candy, he hated the wet track and he went way too fast. Then we can look back and say, sure, the race has been flattered a little bit, yet Uncle Lino came back and win the California Chrome Stakes last weekend. But all things considered, Exaggerator, it sounds like the connections are intent on taking him back and making one run from the back of the pack. We'll see if that ends up working. And really, talking about the horses coming from the back of the pack, are they going to have the pace they need to run at to kind of close, to make that sort of big late move to run down everyone late in the stretch? Or is it going to be a sort of pace scenario similar to what we've seen over the past few years, where ever since this point system has been implemented, it seems like these paces early on are much more moderate, much more reasonable for a route race, closer to 47 than we're going to have to 46. We'll see if all of a sudden Dancing Candy drawn on the outside in the 20th post, he's going to have to go from the outside, I would imagine. You've got Nyquist, who has a tactical speed, but you also have a horse like Outwork breaking from post 15. He figures to go. Is the pace going to be lively enough to set up the horses coming from the back of the pack? Whether it's a creator, whether it's a sudden breaking news, you name it. There are so many closers in this race. They probably need a little bit of something to run at, and are they going to get it? It'll be interesting to see how everything shakes down tomorrow in the 142nd running of the Kentucky Derby. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming today as far as the Oaks card races are concerned, and the Oaks really is the main highlight, obviously. Can Rachel's Valentina, can she follow through and follow in the footsteps of her mom? Rachel Alexandra, going into the Hall of Fame, trained by a Hall of Famer in Steve Asmussen. Rachel's Valentina is not trained by Steve, she's trained by Todd Pletcher, but can she kind of hold up the mantle? Can she continue the legacy of Rachel Alexandra and get the job done this afternoon in the Kentucky Oaks? 1 1/8 miles, I thought her return effort in the Ashland was very good. It'll be interesting to see. Second off the bench, can Pletcher have her cranked up, ready to go? She's 7-2 on the morning line, and I would just really be surprised if she goes off anything close to that. As contentious as this field is, and these fillies, they're all pretty reasonably matched without Songbird. I'm going to be very surprised if Rachel's Valentina doesn't go off in that sort of 2-to-1 range, and for me, that's just much too short in a contentious race. Other storylines to follow. We talked about the Ashland. That's the race that Rachel ended up finishing second. She got mowed down late by a horse called Weep No More for Rusty Arnold. Can Weep No More kind of validate that performance that she gave forth down at Keeneland a few weeks ago? Can she prove that that wasn't sort of an anomaly, that that's actually what she is? The way she finished that race off was fantastic. She had a nice late kick. She saves all of her energy. It's going to be very interesting to see, again, against much better competition, a bigger field, and it seemed like the contenders that day in the Ashland, they kind of went head and head early and it set things up for Weep No More. Can she prove that that wasn't just sort of an anomaly and that's actually what she is? And we talked about Steve Asmussen, kind of relating her to Rachel Alexandra when he was her trainer. He's got 3 fillies in this race today, and I think all 3 of them have some quality. I don't know if today's the day we're going to see their best efforts, but going into the Hall of Fame, he's had a very tough go of it personally over the past 6-8 months with some family things. Jay Privman wrote a story about that earlier in the week. You can find that on DRF.com. Can one of the Asmussen fillies get the job done for him and really show that, you know what, this is the year? He's sitting on one with the Oaks. He's got 3 runners in there. He's got a couple runners in the Kentucky Derby. Maybe he can get his first Derby tomorrow afternoon and the first Saturday in May. And I think one of the most fascinating storylines, and if anyone knows this for a fact, fire me a tweet at Bernier_Matt. Could we have the most unprecedented double, I would imagine, of all time in racing? We've seen jockeys that can win the Distaff and the Classic, back-to-back on Friday and Saturday. Is there a scenario in which Paul Reddam, Doug O'Neill, Mario Gutierrez can win the Kentucky Oaks today with Landover Sea and can follow it up with the double, finish off the Oaks Derby double tomorrow in the Kentucky Derby with Nyquist? It'd be a fascinating storyline to follow. We'll see if she can get her job done this afternoon, but it would be a fascinating sort of accomplishment if that sort of trio of connections, owner, trainer, jockey, if they could all combine to complete the double of the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby in the same year. I think it would be a fascinating story, and it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. So again, Lean and Mean here today on the Matt Bernier Show, DRF Live. Thank you for watching. If you're watching the podcast version, we're going to be on YouTube. We'll be on SoundCloud. We'll be on DRF.com later on. This show is going to kind of gravitate around today and tomorrow. The 2 segments we have left, all handicapping. We're not going to get into any of the other fun stuff. It's going to be handicapping today's card, handicapping tomorrow's card as well. Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby 2016, they're upon us. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll go over today's races.
Opening day at Monmouth Park Racetrack is Saturday, May 14th, as the shore's greatest summertime tradition continues.
Does your online wagering platform want you to win? If they did, wouldn't they help you win? At DRF Bets, we're all about raising your game. That's why we give our players the data, tools, and know-how that no other service can. DRF Bets is more than a place to wager. It's a platform to help you play better and win more. Brought to you by the folks who love racing as much as you do.
Keeneland September, the largest and most important yearling sale in the world, and the gold standard for sellers seeking the best opportunity for their yearlings. Led by the best, the strength of Keeneland Book 1 is unrivaled, producing 11 of the 14 highest price yearlings in North America, and spurring keen competition from the deepest buying bench in the world. The Keeneland September Yearling Sale. Entries close May 2nd.
Over 140 years of history on the line. The chance of a lifetime in a lifetime of chance.
As they come down to the final 16.
Only 20 horses can enter the starting gate for the Derby.
And Mo Heyman remains unbeaten, winning the Fountain of Youth over Zulu.
Lani has beaten Palmer River, New Change, and Vale Dory.
It's Creator to win the Arkansas Derby.
It's how legacies are made. Gainesway. Power, passion, performance.
Ten after 12 East Coast, 10 after 9 West Coast, the Matt Bernier Show here on DRF Live on this Kentucky Oaks Day 2016. Our coverage of the Matt Bernier Show is brought to you by our friends at Monmouth Park, as it will be for the next little while. We'll dive into some more things Monmouth related in time, but today, again, a condensed show, only a half hour. We're going to wrap up at 12:30 because then All three of us are going to bring you through the entire day's races, starting at 1 o'clock. Myself, Dan Hillman, Mike Beer. We'll bring you through all the stakes races down at Churchill Downs, and that's what this first handicapping segment is going to be about. If you're new to the show, normally I'll go through the weekend's races, most of which we'll have highlighted on DRF Live, and I'll go over some most likely winners, some live long shots, some vulnerable favorites. Today is going to be about today's races and tomorrow's races. This first segment about the Oaks and the Oaks undercard. Let's start off with race number 7 at Churchill Downs if we could. The 8 Bells. It's a nice little race for 3-year-old fillies. They're going 7 furlongs on the main track. I think the most likely winner in the race is actually the second choice in the morning line. A lot of people are going to key in on the 5 Karina Mia for Belmont, understandably so. She's got a big chance in this spot. Second off the bench, she ran in that Ashton we talked about at the top with Rachel's Valentina, with Weep No More, with Catherine Sophia. They're going to turn her back because she would have been kind of, I don't want to call her an outsider in the Oaks, but this is probably a better situation for her in her second start of the year. She has that 88 buyer last time out. That's the highest last out buyer in the field. She gets Lasix for the first time to turn back. There's so many things to like about Karina Mia, but there's just a sneaky feeling that I have that I don't think she's the most likely winner in the race. I actually think the most likely winner is the outside runner, the number 8 Nickname. She's already a Grade 1 winner. She won as a 2-year-old, the Grade 1 Frisette up at Belmont Park, albeit over a sloppy going. But her most recent start in the Beaumont at Keeneland on the Beard course at about 7 furlongs. It was a very good effort, very professional. I kind of get the feeling that she's never going to be a superstar. That she kind of is what she is. But guess what? What she is a really nice little filly. She's going to give you an honest effort each and every time. She earned an 85 buyer in that most recent start. I think there's no reason to think that we're not going to get a similar sort of effort out of her here today. And you also look at the pace scenario with this race. I think there's going to be an honest pace, and the fact that she's breaking from the outside. She has Javier Castellano, who's the best here in the country. I think she's going to work out a very nice trip, just stalking, sitting just off the speeds as they turn for home. It should work right to her advantage. I think the most likely winner in the race is the number 8 Nickname. Now, I had a Twitter question earlier, and I can quickly pull it up if my iPad cooperates with me. Somebody was asking about trying to get into the sort of minutia or the way that professionals handicap and the way they go about it. And I don't want to speak for professionals because, again, a professional is legitimately, a lot of these people, that's what their job is. But I can explain to you what I do that is similar to what the professionals do. And that's, you need to make a stringent, a very hard sort of value line. You need to determine, no matter what the morning line says, no matter what the public thinks, you need to be the one to dictate what you think a horse, what their proper chances are. So I think the most likely winner in the 8 Bells is Nickname. She's 3-1 on the morning line. I think she has a 25% chance of winning this race. And legitimately, I'm saying they run this race 100 times. I think she wins 25 of them. The way that you end up doing that out, you divide the number. 100 divided by 25 gives you 4. You subtract 1, that gives you what the odds should be, or what you perceive the odds as fair. I think this filly should be 3-1 come post time. Whether she is or isn't, we'll find out. But the idea is, if I get 3-1 or up, I think that's fair value on her. If she goes off at 8-5, it's a pass, and you just kind of want to save your money. So again, I believe that question came earlier in the day from, boy, I'm going way back, Sam Holmes, at Holmes_Sam. Just wanted to kind of give you the heads up there. But yeah, that's, again, I can't speak for a professional. I'm not a professional. We're analysts. We come in here and do this, and we play a lot. But I mean, a professional, truly, their job and solely their job is gambling. So that's just a bit of an insight as far as how they go about doing things. I think a live long shot in the 8 Bells is we need to pick the pace up. I need to get myself on track here. The 6 Blip in the Buy I think is interesting for El Stall. She's 12-1 on the morning line. I think she should be 7-1. I give her a 12% chance in this race. It's a situation where she's going to get the ultimate acid test here. I don't know if she's this good, but I love the way visually she ran at Evangeline last time out. I think she's an interesting long shot here underneath Florent Giroux. Let's transfer over to the Ali Sheba. We've got a lot of stuff coming at you hard and fast. I think the most likely winner in this race is the 5 Noble Bird. I thought his most recent start down at Keeneland, I thought it was a very good effort, albeit a losing effort. He finished second to a horse called Eagle, who he'll meet again in this spot. Noble Bird is the second choice, co-second choice in the morning line at odds of 4-1. I give him about a 20% chance to win this race. I made him 5-1 in this spot. It's just a situation where, and it should be 4-1 actually, it's a situation where I look at it and say, you know what, he's finally rounding back into his best form, and he loves Churchill Downs. I think the most likely winner is the 5 Noble Bird. If you're looking for a live long shot, I think the 2 Natchez goes out for Wayne Lucas. I don't know where that most recent start came from, But if you watch that race, the tape of it, that non-winners of 2 in a year, optional 75, it was a fantastic effort at Oaklawn Park. He had a dream trip throughout, but boy, when he found his seam, he exploded through. He's 30-1 in the morning line. I give him an 8% chance. 12-1 are the odds that I would assign to the live long shot, the 2 Natchez and the Alysheba. Let's go to the Edgewood race number 10 this afternoon. The most likely winner, I think most people would agree, the most likely winner is the 10 Catch a Glimpse. She hasn't done anything wrong for Mark Casse. She's a beautiful filly. She's very goofy. She does things. She's got a mind of her own. I don't know that she's always going to be the most professional sort out on the racetrack, but what I can tell you is she's legitimately fast. The problem I have is the price. The morning line, she's 2-1. She is the favorite. I give her a 20% chance of winning this race because I think it's a pretty salty little group. 4-1 are fair odds in my opinion. You can see we've got a scratch of the 11 Sky My Sky, another Mark Casse runner. Not taking anything away from Catch a Glimpse. She hasn't done anything wrong on the turf. She's 5 for 5 on grass. Her only loss came on an off-the-turf sloppy dirt race. I think she's a very good runner. I think she has a ton of talent. At the same time, I don't think I'm going to get the odds that I want at 4-1. So more likely than not, it's a pass for me from a win standpoint. A live long shot, and I have to admit, this is probably me being a little bit of a fanboy. I've loved this filly for a long, long time, and she's disappointed me a little bit, but I think her 2 most recent starts were both very good. The 6 Jeremy's Legacy, she ships in from Southern California for Doug O'Neill, Mario Gutierrez with the mount. Her most recent start in the Providencia I thought was giant. She was going over yielding ground. She was on the engine all throughout, pressing the pace. She put away the pace setter. There was another filly that made a strong middle move going into the far turn at her. She kind of dusted her off, and unfortunately she got run down late by a nice one for Keith DeSormo and decked out. I think Jeremy's Legacy is going to be forwardly placed. I think she has some serious ability. She just kind of disappointed me a little bit. She's 15-1 on the morning line. I give her a 10% chance to win this race. So again, if you're new to trying to make a value line, it's as simple as this. If I give her 10% out of 100%, because again, you can't go over 100% making a value line, 100 divided by 10, that gives you 10. You subtract 1, you get 9-1. I think Jeremy's Legacy is a fair number at 9-1 in the Edgewood. Let's go on to the highlight of the day. It's the 11th race, the Kentucky Oaks. Look, Rachel's Valentina, we talked about it at the top. She's the daughter of Kentucky Oaks winner Rachel Alexandra. She'll be going into the Hall of Fame this year. Rachel Alexandra was trained by Steve Asmussen. We'll talk about Steve Asmussen, one of his fillies, momentarily. I think Rachel's Valentina is the most likely winner of this race. She's 7-2 on the morning line. I think she goes off well below that, closer to 2-1. And I said it at the top, I think this is a very contentious race. I only give her a 15% chance of winning, and that's not a knock against her. It's just, this is a very salty rendition of the Oaks. 15% translates to 6-1. There's no way I get 6-1. You also need to use your head a little bit. If I do get 6-1, that's probably a major red flag that she's not ready to go. I think Rachel's Valentina is the most likely winner of this race. A live long shot, though. We talked about Steve Asmussen. I think the 14 Taxable. Mike Smith picks up this mount with no Songbird. I know the outside post is very tough. She's 20-1 on the morning line. I thought her most recent run at Oaklawn was very good. A little bit green still, but third start, I think she's rounding into form. 20-1 on the line. I give her a 7% chance. That translates to 13-1 odds. Live long shot for me in the Kentucky Oaks with the 14 Taxable. Let's take a real quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll dive into tomorrow's card, the Kentucky Derby, the undercard. Stay with us here at the Matt Bernier Show.
Opening day at Monmouth Park Racetrack is Saturday, May 14th, as the shore's greatest summertime tradition continues.
Does your online wagering platform want you to win? If they did, wouldn't they help you win? At DRF Bets, we're all about raising your game. That's why we give our players the data, tools, and know-how that no other service can. DRF Bets is more than a place to wager. It's a platform to help you play better and win more. Brought to you by the folks who love racing as much as you do.
Keeneland September, the largest and most important yearling sale in the world, and the gold standard for sellers seeking the best opportunity for their yearlings. Led by the best, the strength of Keeneland Book 1 is unrivaled, producing 11 of the 14 highest price yearlings in North America, and spurring keen competition from the deepest buying bench in the world. The Keeneland September Yearling Sale. Entries close May 2nd.
Over 140 years of history on the line. The chance of a lifetime in a lifetime of chance.
As they come down to the final 16.
Only 20 horses can enter the starting gate for the Derby.
And Mo Heyman remains unbeaten, winning the Fountain of Youth over Zulu.
Lani has beaten Polar River, New Change, and Vale Dory.
It's Creator to win the Arkansas Derby.
It's how legacies are made. Gainesway. Power, passion, performance.
20 after 12 on the East Coast, 20 after 9 on the West Coast. The Matt Bernier Show on DRF Live. We're presented by our friends down at Monmouth Park. Let's dive into tomorrow's races. Obviously, again, we'll be on here starting at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to have a quick little half-hour changeover. Then the three of us will come and we'll bring you through the entire day today. But we'll talk about tomorrow's races as well. Let's dive into the Churchill Downs. It's race 7 tomorrow afternoon. I think it's a great race top to bottom. You've got so much talent overall in the field. But I think the speed horses have a legitimate chance, and I think the closers have a legitimate chance. It's a very interesting race top to bottom. I think the most likely winner in the race is the number 8, Saludos Amigos, David Jacobson, Cornelio Velasquez. We said it when we did the race preview that if you got a wet track, he's unstoppable. He's 7 for 7. He runs lights out. I really think even on a dry track, he's a pretty salty runner. He's 5 to 2 on the morning line, and for me, that's much too short in a race that's so contentious top to bottom. I give him about a 14% chance. That translates to 6 to 1 odds. I think he's a very likely sort of contender, but again, you've got to get value in this game. It's all about trying to make hay and ultimately take advantage of situations. He's a very honest runner. He's going to give you his best, but I don't want to take too short a number, and he's not going to offer me 6 to 1. So as a live long shot, I like the 4. He's my pick. I picked him on top in the race of the day preview, or the stakes preview, I should say. The number 4, Barbados. He's 12 to 1 on the morning line. I thought his most recent start in the Commonwealth was very good. I like to think that the fact that he was a little bit closer that day is interesting and it bodes well. I like the idea that maybe he doesn't have to come from as far back as he has in the past. If he has that nice tactical speed, I think he can be sitting just off the speeds. You get Florent Giroux. I understand Luis Saez hops aboard and stays aboard Limousine Liberal. Can't argue there, but guess what? Florent Giroux, he knows what he's doing. He's red hot. He's already won 2 races today on the undercard at Churchill. They've been racing since 10:30 this morning. All sorts of stuff going on. I think a live long shot is the 4, Barbados, coming up in the 7th race tomorrow. That is the Churchill Downs Stakes at Churchill Downs. Let's move on to the 8th race, the Humana Distaff 7 furlongs. It's a grade 1 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. It's a very interesting race. I think the most likely winner, and I'm not going to give you a live long shot because this is a horse tomorrow that I don't want to say is going to make or break my day, but I'm going to have so much revolving around the number 9, Bird at the Wire. I think she's got a major, major chance in this race. You look at it on paper, top to bottom, it looks like there's a ton of speed signed on. And I can't help but think she's going to get a beautiful setup. I thought her most recent start in the Madison was a very good effort. She's here with Dale Romans. I understand that, you know, she had those starts in Southern California and said she was in Tom Proctor's barn. I think it's one of those situations where you see occasionally a Baffert runner will come to New York and will run for John Terranova. I just think it's a matter of that's where they're being stable. That's whose barn they're in. I like the idea of Roman second off the layoff for what it's worth. Past 2 years, second off the layoff in grade 1s, 3 for 8 with a 7.17 ROI. I just think Bird at the Wire is sitting on a monster race tomorrow. I'm going to have so much revolving around here. I think she's the most likely winner. She's the 4th choice on Mike Battaglia's morning line at 5 to 1. I give her a 30% chance to win this race. Peg her at 5 to 2 odds. If I get 5 to 2 or anywhere up there, I'll probably play her to win, but I will be revolving all of my multis around her, or the majority, I should say. You're going to want to use DRF Ticketmaker, particularly on these sort of days. And there's so many opportunities. Top to bottom, you've got pick 3s, you got doubles, you got pick 4s, pick 5s. There's so many things going on. I'm going to have a piece up later in the day. I still need to write it, but it'll be going over tomorrow's late pick 5. You can get involved with that with DRF Plus and check out that play as well. As far as the 10th race is concerned, it's the Pat Day Mile. It's for 3-year-olds. A lot of these horses didn't get into the Kentucky Derby. Maybe they weren't good enough, or maybe they just showed up a little bit late. And that is the case for the most likely winner in this race. Hands down, the most likely winner is the 11 American Freedom for Bob Baffert. The morning line, there's no chance. There is no chance this horse is 6 to 1. I think there is a legitimate chance this horse is close to even money. Might be in that 7 or 8 to 5 range, the 11 American Freedom. Castellano takes them out. This horse was very visually impressive. Professional in his career debut, albeit over a sloppy surface, going 7 furlongs at Santa Anita. The word is out about this horse. Bob Baffert has come out and said this is his Haskell horse. This could be his Belmont horse. A lot of people that I respect think this actually may be the best 3-year-old colt in the country. Let that sink in. The Derby will be run 2 races after this. but a lot of people think the best 3-year-old male in the country is this horse, the 11 American Freedom. I think he's the most likely winner. I gave him 28% chance. That translates to 5-2 odds. If you're looking for a live long shot, I think the 6 Sharp Azteca is coming into this. He's a very interesting runner to me. He's going to need to prove that he can either sit or he can just outfoot the horse drawn just to his inside, the 5 Imperial Hint. Sharp Azteca's 2 most recent starts at Gulfstream. I know it's been against weaker competition. It's been fantastic. He looks the part for Jorge Navarro. His most recent workup at Churchill, 58-3. Sounds like our clockers really love that workout. Looks like he's coming into this in really good form. I think a live long shot in the Pate Mile is the 6 Sharp Azteca. He's 8-1 in the morning line. I give him a 10% chance of winning this race. They run it 100 times. I think he wins 10 of them. Translates to 9-1 odds. If I can get 9 or up, I'll play him to win. I'll also use him in multi-race wagers as well. Let's get to the big one. Race number 12, the Kentucky Derby, the 142nd run for the Roses. The most likely winner, I'm not breaking any news to anyone. I think the most likely winner is the 13, Nyquist. He's the morning line favorite at 3-1. That is way too short for me. His price, he's likely to be in that ballpark somewhere, 5-2, 7-2, 3-1. In a 20-horse field, going 1.25 miles. Harvey Pack has said it in the past, don't bet a favorite doing something for the first time. This is something he'll never do again. There's no way in you-know-what that I would take this horse at 3-1. I give him a 12% chance to win this race. I think that is the most likely winner, and that translates to 7-1. He's never going to be 7-1. I think this race, legitimately 15, 16 horses, I think, have a chance to win this race. It'll be so interesting, so fascinating to see the pace dynamics, how everyone runs, how everything goes. I don't think the trip is what's going to get Nyquist beat. If he does get beat, I think it's ultimately going to come down to the distance, and he doesn't want to go this far, and he also doesn't have such an advantage from a speed figure standpoint, whether you're looking at buyers, whether you're looking at any of the other numbers that are out there. He doesn't have a market advantage on the rest of this field. It'll be very interesting to see. I think he's the most likely winner, but again, I pegged him 7-1, and I know I'm not going to get 7-1. A live long shot, I'm obligated to go this way. I picked him in the paper on top. I think he has a legitimate chance. He's going to be a little bit pace compromised. I like the 2 Sudden Breaking News. He's 20-1 in the morning line. I made him an 8% chance. That translates to 12-1, so there's a very good chance I'll be betting this horse to win tomorrow afternoon, and I'll use him. I'll probably key him all throughout my wagers as far as the Derby is concerned, supers, exactas, tries, whatnot. I think he has a big chance, and I'm very, very interested. Again, you're going to have to work with me. I'm going out on a little bit of a limb here. His most recent workout at Churchill, he worked 5/8 of a mile, 59-3. It was the first time he's ever had a shadow roll on. Donnie Von Hemel is hopeful that the shadow roll gets him into the running a little bit earlier than having to come from the absolute clouds. He'll still be a closer. He's not going to be lit up all of a sudden and be a pace presser, but I think if he can start 5 lengths closer to the pace than he normally has been recently, I think he has a major, major chance because I think he's going to run all day. I like the 2 Sudden Breaking News to win the Kentucky Derby tomorrow. He's 20-1 on the morning line. I made him 12-1 as far as my value line is concerned. Thank you for those of you watching here on DRF Live. I apologize if it feels like this has been a rushed show. It kind of is. We're in tight. The production team, you guys have all done very well. We're just kind of up against it simply because, guess what? We're going to take a quick half-hour break when we come back. Starting at 1 o'clock here on DRF Live, myself, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, we'll bring you through the rest of the races today, and we have a slate for what's to come tomorrow. We're going to run you down the greatest stakes action. We're going to start at 1 o'clock East Coast time, just after 10 o'clock on the West Coast. All the graded stakes action from Churchill Downs, that's what our focus is tomorrow. Races 6 through 12, culminating in the 142nd running of the Kentucky Derby from Churchill Downs. I mean, these are the weekends we all wait for. As racing fans, as handicappers, as wagerers, this is what we wait for every year. The Kentucky Oaks, the Kentucky Derby, they're upon us. We'll find out who the 3-year-old filly is going to be at the end of the day, crowned with the Lilies. We'll find out who the 3-year-old colt or gelding tomorrow afternoon will be crowned with the Roses. I want to thank everyone in the other room, Christina and everyone down in Kentucky. Stay with us. We got a half-hour break. We'll come back at 1 o'clock Eastern. Myself, Illman, Beer will bring you through the rest of the day's action from Churchill Downs here on DRF Live, the Matt Bernier Show presented by Monmouth Park. We'll see you next Friday.